Hope you're having a great day. Today I want to talk about a video that I get a lot of questions. Would I ever trade my Tundra? Well, the big answer to that is, the main answer is no. I don't have no intentions of trading my Tundra, but I do have people ask me, what would you trade for if you wasn't going to buy a Tundra? Some people just cannot get past the gas mileage. I understand that. With that though is, if I was really going for something for better gas mileage, I wouldn't have bought a full-size truck. But, I do understand that 16 mile a gallon or whatever these things get without 35s on them, I get about 13.5 to 14 in mine because of my wheel size. I understand that. But if you put 35s on a truck, you're not going to get very good gas mileage in anyway. But, I think they get around 16 stock or something like that. And there are other vehicles that will get up, my EcoBoost, it only got about between 17 and 18 on the interstate. It didn't get that good, especially when you got above 70 mile an hour, it really started drinking gas. Now my 5.0, it got around 21 mile a gallon on the interstate. So I do get, there's, other vehicles that get better gas mileage. Now I will say, I would not buy another Ford. You may have great experience with Fords. You may have the best Ford on the market. It may last 2 million miles. My experience, I had 2 of them. They were in the shop all the time, and I just can't give them a third chance to, get me again. So what would I buy if I wasn't going to keep the Tundra? But like I said, I'm keeping the Tundra. If I was going to buy something, there's 2 trucks that I would definitely look at. One is the Chevy Silverado. Now I'm fixing to review my dad's Silverado. So I'm not going to get into all the details of the things I like and dislike about that truck, because that will ruin the video, of me reviewing the truck. So I will say this though. Lifted, I think Silverados look really good. I really do. Sorry for the camera shaking. I'm hitting some bumps. I think Silverados look really good lifted. When you put big tires on them, they sit good. They look good. I like the way they look lifted. I don't like them better than Tundras, but it is a really, really close race. And if I wasn't going to look at the Chevys, I would look at the Nissan Titan. Now, I've never drove a Titan. I don't know how the Titan, I don't know if I'd like it once I drove it. I do know a couple of people that have Titans, and they've kept them for a long time. I mean, they've not just had them, a year and a half, 2 years, 3 years. I mean, these people have kept these trucks, 6, 8 years or more. I mean, it's ridiculous. My neighbor has one that he's had forever. Now, he does kind of treat it like I do my truck. I have an Xterra that I drive daily, and this is my Tundra, which I'm in my Tundra right now, is, my primary vehicle. The ones I take on long trips, the one I take on vacation. If I'm going out of town, I drive the Tundra because it's probably more reliable than the Nissan is. Not saying Nissan's, not reliable, but I feel like the Tundra is more of a reliable vehicle than my Xterra. When the Xterra was new, maybe they were equal. But right now, I feel like the Tundra's a newer vehicle. It's more reliable. But he still had that truck a very long time. And there's a guy at work that daily drives a Titan. And God only knows how many miles he's had on it. And he had a Titan before that one. And I think he said it had up 150, 175,000 miles. He'd never had any issues with it. Like I said, I have no experience with the Titan, but I do have a lot of experience with Nissans. I've owned 36 cars, probably somewhere around there, and most of them have probably been Nissan. I ain't gonna say most, but the majority, if you took a majority, they would be Nissans. I've owned several 300s, several Frontiers, Sentras, Stanzas. I mean, I've just owned a lot of Nissans, and they've all been really reliable cars. Altimas. The only issue I've really had, other than the engine Xterra, which wasn't the Xterra's fault, was I had an Altima that an EGR valve went out on. And that's really the only issue that I've had with a Nissan. So that's why I would say I would give the Titan a look. I'm also kind of intrigued with the Cummins that they put in the Titans. The diesel, I don't need a diesel. I don't tow that much. There is more maintenance that goes along with diesel. You know, you have to worry about your fuel gelling and stuff like that. But diesels tend to last a very long time. You know, I've seen Dodge Cummins diesels that the truck was rusted out and the engine was still good. So, I mean, that says a lot. And, I mean, look at the value those trucks hold. You take a Dodge diesel and, I mean, they just hold their value like crazy. Now, you know, if I was looking at a diesel and it wasn't going to be the Titan, it would probably be the Dodge. I like the Cummins diesels, and I would look at the Dodge diesel. I probably wouldn't look at buying a Dodge that was not a diesel. I don't know why. You know, a few years ago, you know, they had a few issues here and there, and the resale value on a normal Dodge wasn't always that great. I know back when I bought one of my Frontiers, I could have bought a Dodge about 2 years newer with about 3,000 to 5,000 more miles on it for like $1,000 more. Now we're talking about a full-size four-door, four-wheel drive truck versus a Nissan Frontier, you know, mid-size truck. So, you know, you can argue that all you want to, but that right there kind of shows that Dodge doesn't hold its value as good as some of the other vehicles, unless it's a diesel. Now, if it's a diesel, it really holds its value. So if I was looking at a diesel, I would probably look at the Dodge. But back to the point of this video, if I was not going to own the Tundra, or, you know, I had to trade it or get rid of it or whatever the case may be, I would probably go look at the Chevy first. But I would want to keep in mind that I'd want to lift it. If I was not going to pay the money to lift it, or didn't have the money to lift it, I would go look at the Nissan. Just because I don't like how the Chevy sit when they're not lifted. They look a little low to the ground to me, and I feel the same way about the Tundra. I think the Tundra sits low, stock, and I don't like that. So if I couldn't have lifted my Tundra, you know, I would have probably still bought a Tundra just because I wanted the reliability that come with it. But I would have been very unhappy until I could have got it lifted. And I feel like I'd be the same way about a Chevy. I feel like, you know, if I bought a Chevy, I would never be totally satisfied with it until I lifted the truck. So in that instance, if I didn't have the money and I didn't think I was going to come up with the money anytime soon, I'd go look at the Titan. So there's my answer. You know, I get that question a lot, and you know, a lot of people ask about buying, you know, mid-sized trucks, and maybe I'll do a video on mid-sized trucks and what I'd buy if I was looking at the mid-sized trucks, and I'll do a video on that and let you know what I think about that. But this was just specifically if I was not going to own a Tundra on a full-size truck. Those are the two trucks I'd look at. And like I said, I've never drove the Nissan, so I don't know how I would like it. Once I drove it, I may like it better than the Chevy, and that might be my first choice. But as of right now, not knowing, I would have to go with the Chevy just because I've drove my dad's Chevy so much, and I know what kind of truck it is. So for everybody that's asked me that question, you know, here's the answer to it. I would go with a Chevy first right now, and then the Nissan next after that. In the comments, you know, leave me, if you don't own a Tundra, whatever truck you own, tell me what truck you own. If you own a Chevy, if you own a Ford or a Tundra or Nissan, whatever it is you own, let me know what that is. And then tell me what, you know, if you was not going to own that, what would you trade it for? What would you have bought if you couldn't have got the truck you have right now? If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. See you next time.